love moving from romantic comedy to political commentary, which is so important. Everybody needs to see this film. I feel like Crosby has actually hit the moment that we all need right now. We need to remember George Floyd. We need to remember what is going on in this country. And I think you beautifully, beautifully edited and created a film for us to remember that. So thank you.
Well, first of all, I thank you, Mom, and Lord, my Lord, Savior Jesus Christ, for the opportunity to screen this movie to you, our world premiere of United. But before we get into this, talking about the movie, whoever participated in the movement that was 2020, in the marches, the protests, the speeches, who led demonstrations, who spoke of liberation, of freedom, who stand. If you participated in the march, if you spoke for freedom, if you spoke for justice, for liberation, if you spoke for a better America, stand, and I just say thank you, because you inspired me to make this movie. Your words, your actions. I made this movie because I didn't like what I was seeing on television. I didn't like how the media was portraying our images and us as people. I didn't love it at all. And I just said something needs to change. And I just said, let me pick up my camera and let me go out there and come tell what I don't even care if I die out there. I'm going to shoot and tell a story. Because that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to tell your story. The people united. It's not vernacular. It is a true statement of sentiment. And so we filmed. I basically took it upon myself to go out to these protests. And for those who were leading these protests and demonstrations, my bad. I'm sorry if I offended or if I did anything wrong, like any sort of things like that. I just wanted to just go out there to find some semblance of peace and understanding of what just happened, which was the murder of George Floyd. It affected me deeply in a way where I felt like everything's on the line. I work at a hospital. For those who don't know, don't make yourself an agent. I actually work at a hospital. I take X-rays for observations. And I was front row center to the first wave of the pandemic. And you can imagine what I seen during those first few months of the pandemic. I was depressed, I was looking for fights, I was angry, and I just made an outlet to talk about this film and to people. And honestly, that's what I wanted to do, which was to film you guys and just really spread awareness for all your actions, for every single thing that you guys have done in the community, like Ernest Jean-Jacques, who really does an amazing amount of community work, recognized by the city by the Red Sox, and also just the fact that you feed the homeless man. I gotta give you props, man, because you're just the manager. And his story is amazing. Also learned like later on in life, later down the line. So I'm sure you're probably talking about it, right? Like future. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting myself. This was the most.
I'm going to jump in real quick. I think it's important. My name is Keith Maskell. I'm from Living Your Treatment Life podcast with my beautiful wife, Roxanne, to my left, and we're going to be moderating a short conversation. I think it's really important after seeing this incredible film. This is history, I will say first and foremost, that is documented. One thing that I say in education, I say it all the time, if we do not tell our own story, somebody else will tell it for us. And we had the unique opportunity to watch what was happening in Massachusetts. We saw some of what was happening a little bit in Washington, but this was mostly Massachusetts. And I don't know if there's anybody else who's taken the time to be able to tell that story, not only in the city, but in the suburbs as well. And I think this is important because this is education. This is history that will live. This is pretty much Crosby. This is his publishing. He has published his book. This film is his book. This is his scholarship. And we need to look at it in this way. Using art as scholarly work is something that we don't always talk about. But incredible spaces are created like this that Lisa and family has done for years is important. And it's important that all of you have come out. But we've seen some difficult things, and it's important that we try to ground you all right now. So everybody can sit up in the chair really quickly. We're going to take a couple of breaths together. I think it's important just to ground us. So we all take a deep breath in and out. We just let that go. Another deep breath in and out. And once again, another deep breath in and out. And let us just be for a second. And look around at everybody else that's in this room, because this is history. And the collective love, and the collective energy that's here. Let's acknowledge that. Let's acknowledge that we're here at the end of the day. Even more makes this groundbreaking. So let's take that in for a second before we get started. We'll continue the conversation. Good. Awesome. So normally on the podcast, we're on all platforms. I always check in with Roxanne. Roxanne is a psychotherapist at Harvard University. And so, mental health was something that was evident during this film. So Roxanne, if you could just give a reflection on just your thoughts around that. I have to say that I was curious about the dude that had a half beard, that half I wasn't sure if he was gonna talk this way in one voice and then turn the other side and talk. I wasn't sure. But that was what they were really laughing about. But Roxanne, if you could talk quickly, and then we're gonna get some questions, a couple questions for you, Crosby, and then we want to hear, we want to hear from you, the audience, because I think that's incredibly important. So, Rox.
Sure, thank you. So I'll just say that watching this, it made me think about where was I during this time? What spaces was I occupying? And I was like, Crosby working in a hospital, watching and holding people's hands who were actually dying because of this pandemic in Boston. And so I wasn't out there, right, doing protests, but I was doing my own protests and making sure that I was taking care of people. And so when we were watching this, my heart started beating. I felt really uncomfortable in my body, and I was just sort of had to really recognize what was happening to me. And so this is something that happens to us all the time when we witness something so immensely traumatizing that our body processes this in a way where it comes back to us. Especially if we have a talk, especially if we don't have a reason, someone doesn't give us a reason to talk about it and reflect back and understand what happened to us in that time. Because something happened to us in this time, every single one of us. And so I was sort of reflecting about how my body remembered where I was and what I was doing, and how my brain took me back to those moments in my body and into processing. And I say that and I'm reflecting that because I want you to understand that your words came across through the score, the music. Those were your words. And what you did was you gave us your eyes. And it is a beautiful piece. And it really comes across in us understanding something about us, but something about you. And if that's not part of uniting, I don't know what is. And so that's how I sort of took this all in, from my mental health perspective, right, and understanding that. And so, and that's why grounding is so important. Because it's a moment to remind you that you're here and not there. And so that's something for you to hold on to and take with you because we're still reliving everything, and we don't know what's about to come. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about that. And so not knowing this grounding also helps me sort of center. Where am I going to be and what am I going to do? And how I'm going to help my body and myself.
You don't see why I hang with her? One thing I'll say really quickly, Crosby, is that there's so much art in this. I feel like the score is a story, but I feel like the art that is in it also tells a separate story. I don't know if we lean enough into art in that way, but I felt like there was another through line. That if we looked at all the paintings, right? We looked at all the graffiti, and we looked through that. That's where, because I was thinking about it last night, I was trying to figure out where the hope was, right? It was something that I talked about, where's the hope? And for me, the hope was in the art.
Right, and art is usually used as an expression for our thoughts, our minds, what we're feeling in the moment. We use art to basically express our wishes, our dreams, our hopes. And for me, like, I take inspiration, like being here in the MFA. Like let's just say like an Ansel Adams picture or something, with just a lot of lighting, a lot of color to it. Because when we use colors, it's basically how we emote ourselves. So that you're using basically, the visuals of the people who would do art to express, justice and equality. You use that to basically help to communicate what our wishes, as a people are. And then the score, and this is the editor, and he is like, I gotta get back into the studio and try to level some things up. During this time period, I was very big into Christopher Nolan's work with Tenet, and also later on Oppenheimer. Who's Oppenheimer? Yeah. Score I was inspired by his use of like a hybrid score along with Hans Zimmer and Terrence Blanchard and Spike Lee's movies. And because I also know how to score a little bit, not like like a musician, but I just know enough just to get by. Because I didn't really want to take the responsibility to somebody, this thing goes left. So for me, it's just expressing and using the art forms and the tools that we have to express our wishes, our feelings to one another. And it's just done in this dynamic way.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Crosby, for that. But let's get out to the people, and we really we have some folks coming around with mics, and we just want to hear, we just want to hear your reaction. How did this make you feel? I think we can start. Yes.
And maybe.
Somebody's already started, finish, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it makes me, like you said, it makes me feel really nervous.
It makes me feel nervous for what's to come in the coming months, and I just feel like I said before, we need to remember, that's the most important thing about history, is that it repeats itself, and if we're not out there voting, like Crosby said, all those things at the end of the film, all those things we really need to do, and I feel like it's not being done, and I feel like all those people that you capture that are saying, Biden, blah, 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 I just don't feel like we're in that space anymore, and it makes me really anxious.
Okay, that's where we're going along with her. My question was going to be basically, on November 7th, 2020, we were united. Are we still united? And if we're not, how do we get back there?
I think we get back there is by just remembering what we've been through. I think and this is a tough question because things have changed since 2020. But the thing about history is that it doesn't always, it rhymes sometimes. So, if we don't, remember what we did in the past, how are we going to propel to the future? How are we going to advance? I think.
I'll just say that it's important to live in color, right? We're talking about color and art, right? So it's important to make sure that we live in the color. and remember that we're not living in black and white, right? In color, and finding, as Keith says, finding your art. What is your art? So I see my therapy, my social work as my craft, my art, right? And so I take it on as such, as art, not as a medical model therapist that, that lives in structured boxes.
Anybody else?
Ernest Jones, aka Shimmy,
I got a loud voice. I'm gonna go actually because my little one, but I did want to say that I saw Crosby a bunch of times during 2020 and 21, and none of this was planned. So everything you saw up there was like raw in the moment. That's how we all felt. But like when you didn't see Crosby touch on it, like, in Garage here, you can attest to it. Like a lot of us, we dealt with a lot of crazy shit in our personal life because of this. So like this is cool though, but it's like after you watch this and like you process it, like try to think a little bit deeper. Like look into the family members of the people who had family members that was slain in Boston by police, or look into like the community organizers or activists who've been like terrorized by the JTTF, which is the Joint Terrorism Task Force. And these are things that happen. But like Crosby, I appreciate you that you put this together because this like I don't know about everybody else, but this like re-inspired me for me to want to do more. Like the lady said, I don't know what the next few months are going to be like. In 2020, I like to say it was different between picking like a number 2 in the bathroom or a violent number 2 in the bathroom. And I prefer the regular number 2. But like you said now, it seems like the regular number 2 is turned violent. You know what I mean? So we don't know what the future's going to look like. But thank you, Crosby, for coming out and you weren't very vocal when I saw you every time I saw you, but like clearly your energy and your time is going to something. So thank you.
Please support this work, Freedom Fighters Coalition. Support, donate, whatever you can to this organization.
Good evening. Good luck, Shimmy.
Good luck, Shimmy.
Anything else?
I'll piggyback on that, but, gave me flashbacks, man. I was, George Floyd died on the 25th. I was watching that shit on Uniform Riot, like just live stream straight through. I saw all this shit was going down, and like, fuck it, I gotta go. So I went in, I watched, this is off. Hello?
No.
Third precinct burned. I was there for the third precinct burning down. I'll be honest, I mean, my wife here, Lauren, will tell you, not good as far as my feelings, but I was choked up the whole with all of this. And sometimes, I get fucking silly. I get silly to mask my emotions. But I watched that city burn day after day. I saw fucking buildings falling around me. I saw people, shot, rubber bullets just left and right all over the fucking place. People crying and screaming and just, injustice. And the cops did the opposite of trying to, what they should have been doing. So people just kept setting matches and burning more buildings and burning more buildings and burning more buildings. And, in a sense, they deserve it, but anyhow, I'm getting off the point. All I would say is, you did a great job. This is, I wish I was here for more of the, I was, kind of the other stuff, so I wasn't here for a lot of the Boston stuff. But it was a great job. I would say, voting isn't enough, really. Well, there's got to be more, and that's all I'd say.
I'm gonna piggyback off that and say, an answer. One thing that I really liked about this film is that you spoke with a lot of young people.
in Boston that I've met and remembered, at these protests, and I think that's a place where people can find hope, is that things like Gen Z or whatever generation we're at now are actually, I feel, more social justice inclined and more aware of what's going on. Yeah, they're so well informed and able to speak on things that, like, you know, people, when I was their age, maybe, or not a lot of people were thinking about this at that time, they grew up with this. So I think that, you know, even though it's extremely difficult to watch how the world has changed, in the past 4 years, you know, there's some hope that all those people you spoke to who are maybe their early 20s, maybe even in their teens, they spoke really well about this, and hopefully they're going to continue to fight.
And I would say, confused by love too, you should find some joy too.
It's like a double feature.
Well, I will say that since Fergie is here, I've been trying to get him to do that for the last 4 years, but let's move on.
These are my questions.
I just wanted to say that this was really important work. Just like we were speaking on earlier, how this was documented by his eyes, but it's telling like our story specifically in Boston. I just think it's really great that it's a piece of art, and it being art, it's displayed in the NFL for the first time. And along with art lasts forever, So this is something that generations going forward, the pandemic was passed, nobody, even thought about that kind of thing, but then they can see this art, and it will transfer them to that time to see what we have been through, All of us have made it through the pandemic. That's its own story. But, again, to see what happened with George Floyd and how people united in that time and in that moment. So I just wanted to say that this was great work, and I'm very glad that you documented it for future generations to observe and admire your art.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted.
Can I just jump in real quick? I just want to say something to the gentleman right here. The courage that you just showed to talk about your feelings, I want to lift that up. Because this is part of what happens, and this is part of the work I do keep. Men don't get isolated all the time for talking their emotions. Right? See, she said I told you this, right? So,
All the time.
right. So here's what I want to say. It's when you have the courage to do what you just did, is how you move other people. And you never know how you move other people because you don't always come back and tell you, right? So I want to say to you, you moved me by speaking your truth through your emotions. You don't need to mask it. That's part of the movement. That's what Crosby did. Crosby did this and then had a quick moment of needing relief. And the thing I said to Crosby in that moment was, you just gave us a gift. We are proud of you. And that helped him pull together what he needed to do for that moment. So I'm saying that back to you. Okay? I just want to validate.
I got to be square though. I'd be bawling through the whole thing. I'd be bawling if it wasn't for me just cracking jokes. It's just gallows humor.
Just do it your way, all right? I know people have blanks. We need to lift it up.
So I have a question. Hi, I'm from Crosby. Thank you for inviting me last night. I just want to say that this is one of those moments that says to everyone, lest we forget. So my question for you is, how will you play this between now and the election time to rev people back up? Because I've been an activist since I was 14. I went to the 20th anniversary of the Liberty March on Washington And it's difficult to get people to understand all the things that happen past this. I've been leading an effort to bring business to the black-owned businesses in Nubian Square. There were thousands of people that would leave from Nubian Square to go to the protest marches, but no one has been back since. So we need a fire to be lit, and I think that this film could be that match. So I'm hoping that you can put it out so that people can be re-energized to do anything.
As of now, this movie is available for community screenings. It is available for talkbacks. We want to make it available as much as we can to the community leading up to the election. We do have festivals that we're lining up with as well to screen in other places. Our producer in Chicago, Tressa, she's working with us to basically make more availability in other spaces as well. But we're going to open this film for the community so that basically they can have talkbacks, they can have discussion, we can actually build and heal from this, which I feel like that's what the goal of the People United is to heal and to push forward and to just keep, we just have to keep going, honestly. I find that hope is in our progress to just talk and just move forward. It's like therapy. Actually, through the Trigger Project, through Keith and Roxanne, I just started therapy about last year, and it really helped me push through a lot of different things. I'm still making progress, but I think that's the most important thing is that we talk, we discuss, and we just see it for what it is. So the thing is, we just can't talk.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all so much. We are out of time. Let's take a last one big breath together. Breathe in and hold and out. And as we always say for our podcast, you're no longer surviving, you're thriving. Thank you.